everyone. Welcome to the episode of the Caffeinated Librarians. So today is part 2 of our Would You Watch Anime Edition. And today we're going to be discussing the first episode of Sailor Moon Crystal, and it's Act 1 Usagi Sailor Moon. Sailor Moon Crystal was released on Netflix in July of 2021. And for those who are not familiar with the Sailor Moon anime, it's the story of a 14-year-old girl named Usagi Tsukino. And one evening, she's resting from coming home from school, and this cat named Luna comes to her and says that she's a Sailor Scout. She's destined to fight the forces of evil and help her locate the Silver Millennium Crystal. And over the course of the anime, Usagi meets other Sailor Scouts, and she befriends them, and they help her fight it together. So I just wanted to include a few facts about the manga and the anime. So the manga was published in Japan December 28, 1991, and it got publication in the United States in 1998. It eventually got its own animated TV show in 92 in Japan, and it made its way to the US in 1993. So Sailor Moon Crystal is a reboot from the 1993 original anime series, which is the one that I grew up watching, and I actually prefer it to Sailor Moon Crystal. I don't really like the animation style of Sailor Moon Crystal, and there were also some things
They fix it later on.
Yeah,
They fix a lot of things later on.
The original one just has like such that really nice like pastel look to it,
Yeah.
and like the watercolor backgrounds are just so pretty. Like
It
I
is.
don't know, I feel like you're fighting an uphill battle when you trying to make it better, I guess.
Yeah, it's like I understand why they think they wanted to make the change, because I guess this follows the typical sort of animation style convention of the current age. But yeah, there were things about it I didn't really like. Also, the 1993 anime didn't follow the manga as closely as Sailor Moon
It
Crystal
did.
does, and didn't though.
So it fell under the curse of the fact that the manga was still ongoing when the anime was created. So they had a lot of filler. It's like 200 episodes with a bunch of filler. Full Metal Alchemist, yes and no. They actually ended it when the manga didn't have any more chapters to go into.
Oh wow, that's respectable.
Yeah, they gave it its own original ending, and then they had a movie to end the whole thing.
What about Full Metal Alchemist Brotherhood?
That one's the manga.
Okay.
That was the remake.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah,
Because
they
I
went
like
back and
Brotherhood better
condensed it.
than
They've been
the
doing that
first
a lot
run,
lately with some older and like Fruits Baskets and stuff like
which
that.
is so good.
Which is a lot better than its original anime. Sorry,
Yes.
I hate it.
I hate the original anime.
Oh, it's so awful. It looks so bad. It's just everything about it. But back to Sailor Moon. No, as I said, it fell under the bad thing of where it was like, it was getting really popular and we love the manga. We want the anime now, and so they made it. But the plus side of the original Sailor Moon filler episodes was that you got a lot more character building. Each character kind of had their own, got to have their own singular episodes that were catered to them, so we got to see what they would do. Mm-hmm. The problem that Crystal runs into is, since it's kind of like a big anniversary project and it's like they're trying to copy the manga, was that you don't get a lot of time with the Sailor Scouts.
Yeah.
And so it felt like kind of the personalities weren't as fleshed out. And so that's kind of one of the downsides of Crystal, is that if you just want to get the story of Sailor Moon, just watch Crystal, it's done.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
It's like boom, boom, boom. Everything's tight.
Yeah.
Whereas the other one was a bit looser, and the villains were more fleshed out as well.
Yeah, that was one of the things. So although in this podcast we're going to be primarily talking about the first episode, if you haven't seen any of it, spoilers, come back and watch us when you have. But
Also, shout out to, I think, our first ever podcast when Amy left.
Yeah,
This was our first ever
we discussed the
episode,
film.
the film Eternal.
Yeah, we discussed Sailor Moon Eternal, which is a really good film.
Which I still have my notes
still
for.
on Netflix. I have it too. So with the 90s anime, what I liked, because one of my favorite arcs is the Black Moon arc. So when you see Prince, for those familiar with the English dub, they call him Prince Diamond. I know it's slightly different in the Japanese one, Prince Diamond, Prince Sapphire. That whole arc, it was more emotional in the 1993 one. They also gave more time to the characters. When I was watching Sailor Moon Crystal, it was like boom, 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 and now we're done. It just like flew by, and I didn't have the same emotional attachment that I had to the characters from the 1993 one. But yeah, so going back to the first episode, this is when we first meet Usagi. As I mentioned earlier, she's a 14-year-old girl.
She's also
very
a crybaby. And
Well, that's part of what makes her endearing, because Usagi is not. I know it can be off-putting to
I
some.
found her endearing in the original. Here for
It's the
whatever
same voice
reason,
actress. Did you know that?
I didn't know that. Wow, that's really cool.
The Japanese voice actress reprised her role, but she had 20 years of experience under her belt at this point when she did Crystal.
Yeah, that was nice. Yeah, I wondered if it was the same.
I still
Here,
found her
for
annoying.
whatever reason, I found her a little more grating, but like she's also like
Thank God.
obviously she's going to change.
No,
too.
definitely.
Yeah.
She grows a lot. She starts.
Her voice is not my favorite voice ever. There's
I
a
wasn't really
weirdness
talking about
to
the
it.
Voice. I was just talking about
Yeah.
her behavior.
Yeah. Well, there are aspects of her core personality. So one thing I do love about Usagi, yes, she's a crybaby, but she is very much a loyal friend. Her friends mean. Amanda's gonna disagree. She's gonna bring that up.
Is she a loyal friend?
But I think that
You're
was
looking up my prime example here.
The guy Melvin. I know his real name's Umino, but I'm going with Melvin.
Damien. So in Sailor Moon, she starts off like before she meets any of like the Sailor Scouts, her cool space friends.
she has other friends.
She has like 2 friends.
Yeah.
And one's a girl who we meet in the very first episode.
Does that
And
girl get to become a sailor?
No.
No.
Oh,
you
she's
know what
just
she
a
does?
friend.
You know what she does?
Aw.
Gets abandoned because
Rip
she's like my
her.
cool space friends. Bye. Especially
Oh my
She
God.
gets shoved to the
I'm a
side.
princess.
I queued up Revolutionary Girl Otena for my pick, and there's a good take on that kind of character in that show. The creator of it worked on Sailor Moon a lot. He ran the show for the 2nd and 3rd seasons, I
okay.
think. Yeah, and Revolutionary Girl Otena was him just being like, all right, let me just do what I want to do.
Abandon all friends.
But I thought also with
Look at the
with
history of
regards
that.
to her
It's great.
friend Naru. Naru is her friend.
Yeah.
I also thought
It's okay if you don't remember her name because Usagi forgets her too.
But I thought it was a choice. But was it a choice because like monetary issues? Because like it doesn't make sense that. I recall that yes, you never really see Naru again. But I thought it
She's
was
gone.
But I thought it was like a budgetary thing, or they didn't want to devote time to that kind of character.
No, just even in the manga, she just
Disappears.
poof. That's it.
Yeah,
It's just as soon
and-
as Sailor Moon starts becoming when Usagi becomes Sailor Moon, and she's
Yeah.
taking on these responsibilities and still being bad at school, you know, she makes more time for her other friends because the next
Sailor
person she
Scout
meets
friends.
in like the second episode will be Sailor Mercury,
Yeah.
and like she's smarter than Naru. I'm assuming she's like a genius. Even though they don't show it in Crystal,
And
that's
I
what
mean-
that was great about the original.
Yeah.
I mean, Naru's mom was also captured by.
Yeah, you'd think that she
Bye.
would like come to Usagi with her problems, unless
Yeah.
she's that traumatized and they put her in a psych ward or something. Like I saw some things that night.
Yeah.
There was
guess
a
we-
guy
I
came
guess-
through the window.
Well, I guess we can kind of chuck that to the creator because, I'll blame the creator for that. The mangaka can do better. But
I mean, she didn't really. I think I brought this up in our first ever episode. Is that the creator of Sailor Moon didn't actually get to end Sailor Moon the way she wanted to.
Oh, that's
She wanted everyone to die.
Oh.
And she was bloodthirsty. She was like, I had this plan of everyone dead. And that's why she's actually married to the writer of Hunter x Hunter and Yu Yu Hakusho.
Oh.
And since he's kind of dying,
Oh.
which is very sad, and that's why it's taking a long time for his manga to finish, he said that if he dies, she's going to take it over. He gives her full permission. I'm like, yes. Let her have the carnage she's always wanted. Kill everything.
Oh no. Oh no.
so
No happy ending.
Usagi, yes. Naru aside, one of the things I loved about Usagi is that she is very much someone who's loyal to friends. Naru aside, that's more like the creator thing, maybe. I don't know what the creator had planned for her. But she is a very loyal person. She's not very studious. She doesn't excel academically, but she has other strengths which she utilizes throughout the course of the series to her benefit and the benefit of her friends. And eventually, when you meet the other Sailor Scouts, each of them brings a skill set to the group. They each have their own stories, and they all kind of complete each other. The one thing that I found very funny on my second watch, Usagi, in this episode, you meet her love interest. Now, the U.S. version did a great disservice because they made him a college student in love with a 14-year-old. In the Japanese anime, he's a high schooler, and in Japan, the age of consent is 14. I know they're trying to change that, but it's less creepy in the Japanese version than in the English language.
Well, the way
one.
they also perceive like romance
Yeah.
in anime is very different.
Yeah.
From if it's because the characters themselves, they picture them as cartoon characters.
Yeah.
They're not real.
Yeah.
So they can get away with a lot of things unless it's like they actually have a resemblance to a person who's real.
Yeah.
Then that's when it starts to become an issue. But yeah, so.
But you meet her love interest, Mamoru.
Tuxedo Man.
Yeah, who,
Tuxedo
when she
Come
sees
In.
him, he's wearing the corniest outfit ever. I love Mamoru.
Who wears a suit in the middle of the day?
But his outfit choices.
God.
But the funniest moment, I don't know if anyone else had that ha ha ha, and not in a good way though, is when this is after Usagi. Basically, Naru-chan's mom owns this jewelry store, and I should have mentioned that the episode opens up.
She's killing it with the sale.
Yeah, but what you learn is that there are these.
Okay, I did not like when I know they're 14, but when all the girls are just like, it's so shiny, I was like, oh my god, come
Yeah.
on.
Yeah.
Different
Give
time,
them
different
some
time.
credit.
Well, we'll talk
It's
about
on
that
sale.
too.
It's shiny.
It's every girl likes
They're
shiny
Poe.
things.
But I think that's a generalization and a stereotype too.
To be fair, this was made during the 90s. So
Yeah.
90s Japan
Not
was
Crystal.
not Crystal, but the story
Yeah,
itself was
but
made in the
I'm
90s.
just saying there was an exact line of dialogue where someone was like, "It's so shiny. I love shiny things," and I was just like, I know you're 14, but come on."
She's poor, she's 19, she wants to look cool, shiny.
Some people like.
We do
shiny
like
things.
shiny
I
things.
like shiny things, but I don't say it like that. I'm not like.
Oh, you're not like one of those cringe people in high school. It's like, ooh, shiny. Ooh, shiny.
Yeah. So what I forgot to mention was that there are these like interplanetary dark beings led by this queen who you haven't met yet, and they're also after the Silver Millennium Crystal. So what they do is they have these agents that assume the form of other people, and the agents try to absorb energy. The more energy they absorb, the more power they get, and they get closer to finding the Silver Millennium Crystal. So Naru's mom has been hijacked by one of these beings. She's assumed her form, and she's using the jewelry as a conduit to absorb the energy of people. And that's when Usagi, after transforming into Sailor Moon, hears... I forgot about the alerts that she gets through her buns.
We always wondered what those red things were for. And then
Because in the 90s one, those don't work that way in the 90s
they really
anime.
don't, no.
Yeah, that was something they did for
Such a
Sailor
design
yeah.
choice.
So she hears her friend Naru-chan calling out for help. She goes to the jewelry store. She defeats the villain rather quickly. This happens a lot unless it's like the big baddie. The little minor ones will be defeated relatively easily. And that's when you see Tuxedo Mask, and he leaps out the window. And it's like this extended
Go, Sailor
pose,
Moon!
like where he's in front of the moon, and she goes out to see him, and he goes, Sailor... I forgot what he says to her.
So I
Basically,
think it's like Sailor Moon, I'll never forget you, or
yeah,
something like that.
but I was like, God,
If you're
that is
looking for
so
the best
corny.
one, it's the
you
one
know?
where she has the floppy disk. I don't know how to use a computer.
Yeah, they changed the floppy disk to actually CD-ROMs.
They tried to modernize it a little bit.
Yeah, they
Except
changed the
they didn't
font.
give her
I
cell phone.
was looking at the Sailor Says segments from the
The
US one?
Yeah. I used to love those.
They're really funny. I like that they had to put in PSAs because of FCC regulations. So
Yeah.
What America had to do to put this on the air was I went through like
Well,
a rabbit
this
hole.
this was every show aimed at kids
But
on
you
like
didn't do
Saturday
anything.
morning blocks.
Yeah, no.
Yeah. There's great ones with Sonic doing it. Those are funny.
God.
Where Sonic's
Yeah.
like, "Don't put your little brother in the dishwasher," and then runs away.
Yeah.
I didn't think about it, but now I'm thinking about it. Putting thoughts in my head, son.
in the episode that we did Sailor Moon, we discussed the censorship issues that
I went through the
Yeah.
whole like there's a
Yeah.
whole huge history about how Sailor Moon came to the US and like all the trials and tribulation that it took to come here. There was like a big fandom. They gave it to like, I think it was the company Deke
Yes.
that got it. And then I know you've been browsing photos. And so there was the one that I said that one's great if you have a time to look into it. They tried to Americanize it.
Oh, Jesus.
And so, but it was not good. And it didn't
not.
even follow the story except for like the Sailor Scout kind of deal. And it was atrocious that they had to cancel it.
Oh, yeah.
And the fans kind of got on that bandwagon. They were like, get
that
out of
was-
here.
No, that was the Saban version.
Yeah, the Saban.
Yeah. It was the people who made Power Rangers. They wanted to do a live action thing interspersed with cartoon shorts. That, like,
And so the Sailor Moon fandom came around. They were like, get this off the
They
air.
did a live
succeeded.
action Sailor Moon, which I actually watched the entire thing. It is very corny, but very endearing at the same time. But I watched everything. They changed a lot. Like Mercury goes dark. She becomes evil temporarily. Oh, no. It's really cool.
Well, they do like stage plays also, which have
Yeah.
fantastic value, like
Yeah.
production values. I
Yeah.
love seeing like anime stage plays because their costumes are amazing.
But yeah, I know the classic ridiculous change they made in the U.S. was they made the two girlfriends into cousins.
Of course.
which
The
just
Sailor
seems more
Uranus
In,
suspect.
in Mexico,
Yeah.
they made them sisters.
Oh, my goodness.
And I remember the line.
It's because they didn't want like it was weird because at the time they were like, I don't think kids are ready for like
Yes,
this.
but instead it just came off like they were.
but
They did a lot of
incestuous.
other
but,
things.
but,
Yeah,
I remember I was
like
watching.
she's touching kind of weird.
I was watching a scene where and this was one of the great moments where Uranus is like holding on to Neptune is trying to hold on to Uranus. She's like, you've been eating too much. And Uranus, I love the voice actress for her. She has that nice voice. She goes, I don't tolerate that talk outside the bedroom. And that made me think, yeah, they're not cousins, they're not sisters. But yeah, that's one of a lot of countries tried they tried to get around some of the issues that the show had. I remember like if Usagi's in the bathtub,
it's
they made the
only
water
They
like
censored a
issues-
lot of other villains
It's only
too.
issues
I think there was
for,
a weird
for our country
a guy and, they made
and
it a
those
girl.
countries.
Yeah.
And they
Because of the
shouldn't
way
be
that it looked.
issues
Yeah.
at all.
And I was like, oh no.
Yeah, but they did a lot of the censorship. Like they even changed like one character that you meet in a later arc, Fisheye. They made
That's
him,
exactly.
They made him into a woman. That was I remember because I never
We
watched.
were talking
I think,
about that one. Yeah, they
Japanese
censored
original.
Fisheye because of
Yeah.
how like flamboyant they were.
Yeah, but what I loved was I was like, why is this girl so flat chested? And then I saw the Japanese like, yeah, that makes sense. Like when I watched eventually the Japanese version of it, it's like this makes no sense. But yeah, they did a lot of those kinds of things. But yeah, so.
But this was during the early stages of
yeah.
the U.S. acquiring or being given
Yeah.
rights to dubbing.
Yeah. And one thing
Humble
going
beginnings.
going back to the first episode is that you learn that there's already a Sailor Scout that has been active for a few years, like Sailor V. No one knows her origins, but she also has a video game. But so she is one of the Sailor Scouts that you meet eventually, who has been
She was
active for a
created
That
before
while.
Sailor
video
Moon.
game looked awful.
Really?
Actually, probably kind of a little side scroll. Boo, boo, boo. Sailor V was actually created before Sailor Moon, and she was initially going to be the main character.
Oh, okay.
That changed
Yeah.
because of editor suggestion. A lot of editor suggestions went into play with the original like publication. As I said, she wanted to kill everybody off, and the editors were like, "Please don't do that." And she was like,
Do we know why
I
she
think-
wanted
I
to
think
kill
that was-
everybody
"That's how
off?
she wanted the story to go."
Epic.
Right?
She
didn't-
It's relatively nice, like Saturday
Yeah.
morning cartoon flavored thing.
Yeah.
Where they're fighting villains every week and stuff like that, and then boom.
Well, there
Dead.
were moments in the original anime where it got really close. Like there are some dramatic, like beautiful moments where I was on the like verge of tears where characters either do die or are close to death, and that's some of the more dramatic, like beautiful moments of the anime. Because yeah, there definitely was a lot of filler in the '93 version. But I think it has more of the heart and the warmth that I think Sailor Moon Crystal kind of lacks. But yeah, so Usagi sort of begrudgingly acknowledges her new role. Luna will be there to guide her. And, eventually the other Sailor Scouts are located. And, you find out more, which I'm not going to spoil or anything like that. But, yeah. So Sailor Moon is still a very popular character. Like, I know some people would argue that her anime hasn't aged well or whatever, but
If you really want to hear my thoughts, go back to our first episode.
Yeah.
About how I feel, how it aged.
I don't know. I've seen episodes of it within the past. Oh god, that was probably 4 years ago now.
yeah.
So
But-
long
but,
ago.
like, I don't know. It's still got a lot of charm to it, and
Yeah.
you have to remember, like, this is it's the magical girl show. Like, this
Yeah.
is the, like, all right, this is what started it, more or less. Here is like the template, and like, yeah, it was meant to play to kids, more or less. And
Yeah,
just-
no,
yeah.
definitely. And I know that in this article, Japan Nakanama's article, it's number 8 in their top 10 anime classics you need to watch. And Tokyo had one of the biggest Sailor Moon exhibits in August of last year in celebration of the 30th anniversary. There has been a stage production of it, like a musical stage production.
It's been several, yeah.
Yeah, so it still is very popular. I know that she was one of the anime characters chosen to represent when the Tokyo held the Olympics. She was one of the characters in the group, if I'm not mistaken. She was chosen to represent something along with like Dragon Ball, like Goku from Dragon Ball Z, and there were a few other people. Naruto, like she still is, I think, important enough to have been included. So
I'm honestly surprised there haven't been more like series within it.
Yeah.
Like under the Sailor Moon brand, but like that's good, honestly.
Yeah.
So it's not just like diluted.
Well, they're
Yeah.
not done because they have another movie coming out because Eternal didn't end
they do
everything. It ends the story, but I thought they were doing another movie. I could be very wrong about it.
Have you seen their Hearts on Ice movie?
Also,
Amanda's killing me.
I'm sorry, but original theme song goes harder than the Crystal. Theme
No,
song.
that's if I have another complaint about this Sailor Moon Crystal, the theme song should not have been changed.
Yeah, the original theme song is so baller. Like,
Oh, it's
why
like-
would you change it?
It's like this one sucks.
I
Like,
love
no.
Moon Pride. I thought it was a dope opening.
Nah.
I actually am not a huge. Look, I will belt out the English original opening because that's what we all like. That's what I grew up with.
Yeah, me
But
too.
hearing the Japanese one, I was never a really big fan of it. I was just like, I don't really like the sound of it. I don't like anything about it. I was like, oh no, I've been desensitized because I'm in the U.S. and this is what I got was the really bad dubbing when America was doing nothing but dubbing theme songs. I'm like, oh no.
Oh, yo, there's a Sailor Pluto.
You didn't know about that?
Yeah.
She's
Yeah.
really powerful.
Did they take her out in Crystal?
If you want to go back and watch
Pluto's
the
no longer
Eternal.
a planet.
Yeah.
No, because technically, it's kind of weird that Sailor Moon is the most powerful one because she's not even really a
I
planet.
don't
She's a
consider
moon.
her the most powerful. I consider
Yeah.
Pluto to be the most powerful, or Saturn maybe.
She would be, I would assume, but like I understand why they chose the moon.
Yeah.
I get it because it's Japanese mythology at that point. The
Yeah.
rabbit on the moon.
Yeah.
Haha.
Oh, yeah,
The Princess Kaguya.
yeah.
Princess
Yeah.
on the moon.
And
rabbits
she
on the moon.
also,
stuff like
what
that.
you learn, spoiler, is that Usagi, it's like she's been reincarnated. She originally was from the moon. She was the princess of the Moon Kingdom. Mamoru
Her mom
Shan-
looked exactly like
Yeah,
her.
she was pretty. I liked the illustration. And Mamoru was the prince of the planet Earth. They had an illicit, forbidden romance, and
Disgusting.
and
There were a lot of problems with her mom, okay?
And
I went
things
over this
still
when we did
are.
Eternal.
yeah.
With the Dark Queen. Just let her hold the baby. Just
Oh,
let her see
yes.
the baby.
Oh yes,
That's what started this whole mess. Was that she was like, I don't get to see the baby, and they're like, no.
that's Benia, right? But the woman who's the
Queen Beryl.
Queen Beryl, it's because you find out. Spoiler.
She has
She was
a
in
crush
love
on
with
Tuxedo
Mamoru, but
Mask,
Mamoru
too.
could not see her because he was all for the Moon Princess. And then she took in dark magic.
He only
and,
had eyes for one woman.
yeah, and so yeah, that's what you learn. That's the big but Sailor Pluto is one of the cooler sailors. I will say the outer Sailor Scouts are a lot cooler. I'm sorry than the other. So I love Sailor Uranus, Neptune, and Pluto. They have attitudes like they need to change that a bit. But I think
Change your attitude.
change your attitude. But they are some of the better ones. And when you eventually meet Sailor Saturn, I kind of feel that she and Pluto are the most powerful of the bunch.
Oh, hands down.
Yeah.
Hands down.
And they have some of the more interesting backstories too.
They're edgier.
They are edgier. They're darker. They're the outer planets. Well, not Pluto, not anymore. But as far as I'm concerned, she's still up. Scout.
She's still there. It's fine.
Yes.
Because then you have like other Sailor Scout-esque people.
Oh yeah.
Like when
I've
we did
never
Eternal,
seen
the
those
little
arcs.
Amazons become the.
Oh yeah.
They become like some other planet moon things.
Oh, it looks like there's 2 more movies coming out this
Cosmos.
summer.
I thought so.
Yeah.
Hopefully Netflix gets them. I'm getting excited. I may not be able to see them.
Look,
but
I imagine they will get American release.
yeah.
No,
Pretty
hands
shortly.
down, no
Yeah.
way, no
Sorry,
way.
I got very
Whether
excited.
Crunchyroll grabs
Like,
it
why not?
or anything.
Yeah.
Sailor Moon is an anime that, like, when you think it's like even a person who doesn't like watch anime or really know much about it, the first thing that usually comes to mind is either like Dragon Ball Z, Sailor Moon.
Yeah.
Sailor Moon because
Maybe
they're so
throw Naruto.
iconic.
Yeah.
Now it's Naruto,
Yeah.
Jujutsu because it's more popular, but even like way back when, it's like when it's not even popular, the first thing comes into your head is Sailor Moon. She's a cultural icon.
And I got the Funko Pop.
She's a cultural. I actually, my friend, my best friend in high school was a huge Sailor Moon fan. Like she had VHS tapes, and she had like the dolls, like the actual like Barbie looking ones.
My friend had those, and she chucked them out.
This would have been
She what?
worth a lot of
She
money.
got rid of them. Because
They're worth a lot of money. Like I don't know.
lot
I
of
went
money.
through a
Hear that, Crystal? They're worth a lot of money.
when we were doing the Eternal episode.
Yeah.
I went down this weird Sailor Moon rabbit hole to kind of understand the fandom just a tad more, and I realized how crazy they all are because of how, like, the merch. Like, I thought, like, you guys criticize me for the merch, or, like, you guys are like, merch, Amanda's all about the merch. No. Not compared to a Sailor Moon fan.
It's not a
Oh.
criticism.
It's like the amount of times like you guys are like, oh, merch. It's like my body, merch, at home, merch, everything, my computer, merch. It's like
I don't have a
no,
lot of
Sailor
merch.
Moon fans are like on a whole. The fact that they went that the Saban one, the fact that they all ganged up together and were like, get this stuff off the air, shows you just how like even now you have anime fans who like will like send death threats to people and are like. They're still like, nope, we're still airing it. Haha, no change. But the Sailor Moon fandom, they had like an online presence when like the internet like
First came to be.
first came like really like when chat forums were becoming like a thing.
Missed out
they
on all
they
that.
immediately started like getting to with each other and they were like, yeah, Sailor Moon, did you see this? Did you see that? Oh my god, what's going on? Do you hate this? And they're like, we hate this. They're like, let's team up. They are ravenous.
No.
They are hardcore.
Especially like 90s, those Usenet forums.
Oh
if you
my
go through them,
God.
those people are nuts.
They're-
Not even the Sailor Moon fans. I went through some for like Simpsons episodes.
Oh my
you
God.
see like some of the funniest episodes of TV ever, and these people are just like, this was awful. They ruined Homer's character this week.
That's what it
my
was. That's the
God.
Sailor Moon fandom, and they're a lot better now, but they were nuts. And I'm watching this girl break down like merch, and I was just like, I came here to learn the history. Is the merch part of the history? And they're like, yes. And I was like, oh no.
And
Every year they come out with some new collectors. Like she has like she has the pen, and then she has like a whole staff, and then she has like a chalice, and they're like every year it's like. Ooh, here's an anniversary thing you can collect, and people are like, "Oh my god!" My friend last week literally bought like these little, they're called Cupo skits. They're a type of figure. They're a cheaper like anime figure. I hate the way they look, but she bought like all the Sailor Scouts last week, and I was just like, Jesus Christ!
I was legit tempted to buy all the Sailor Scout Funko Pops. But now Amanda, if she sees that, she's like, "You're one of them," and I'm feeling like
I can't judge either because
I feel like
but
my-
then again, I'm
How much Evangelion merch have you got, man?
not actually a lot. Actually,
Really?
yeah, no, I'm more. I have a lot of Fate merch.
Okay. I knew you bought like an art book or something, and that's.
I have a
yeah.
only one Kaoru art book because it's
Okay.
all Kaoru.
I have a Sailor Moon.
If it doesn't have
calendar,
Kaoru on it,
when
I
I saw
don't
that,
want
I-
it. This year at Anime NYC, bought all the standees for Kaoru. There were like 6. I was like, am I going to spend all this money on standees? Yes.
But my friend had all
Special
the dolls.
fashion collection.
And I remember
Those dolls are worth a lot.
And I remember I asked her, "Do you still have them? Because if you don't want them, I will take them." She
To be
threw
fair,
them out.
she threw them out.
Yeah.
Oh,
And Crystal, you can correct me if I'm wrong. I'm pretty sure she She got rid of them. She no longer has these. I wanted to cry because I loved them. I remember she, because she's a big Sailor Moon fan as well. We both love Sailor Moon. So she had I think she had all of them, if I'm not mistaken. And I wanted them. I was like, if you don't want them anymore, give them to me. She was like,
I'm looking at your Funko Pop for Sailor Moon, and I realize that her head is so heavy that her pigtails have to hold her up.
Yeah.
Like, because...
She does come with Luna, but one time I thought I almost lost her, so I didn't take Luna with me.
That's
But
fair. That's
I'm
fair.
thinking of buying replacements so I can have one for work and some at home. I will be that person. See, now I'm going
Funko
to
Pop's the best
I'm going
office
to
decoration.
embrace that now. I'm going to be that. But what I will say is, like, I remember a lot of the fans or the rabid ones used to come after cosplayers who were not white. And what I felt like saying, but I don't like to join these forums because if someone starts attacking me,
gotten
I will
past
cry. No. There was recently,
almost tempted.
there was this cosplayer where she was African American, and she was cosplaying Sailor Venus, and they said she couldn't cosplay her. So what I felt like saying, but I didn't want to be attacked, was you realize they're Japanese, right? They're not white.
We're just
Yeah.
culturally
But I-
appropriating all the time.
But I didn't want to say anything because, like, I don't want to be attacked online because I'll cry. But yeah. So, but I'm sure things
There's
have
no
gotten better.
tolerance for
but-
those people anymore online.
Yeah, but
They
Also,
don't.
like,
yeah.
no one actually looks like those characters because they have eyes that are 50% of their head, and like,
Have you ever seen the
it's a cartoon. It's a drawing.
Yeah.
Chill. Calm
Yeah.
down, son. It's just a drawing.
Well, I mean, I have actually seen the first episode of Sailor Moon, and seeing it again, I thought it would like kind of change my perspective of Sailor Moon. It hasn't.
that's okay.
I'm sorry, Simona.
Some of us are more enlightened than others. It's okay. You will come to join the army soon.
No.
That's
No.
that's understandable because, like, even after I was watching it, I can kind of see how it's an acquired, not a taste. I don't want to use that term, but I can kind of see how for maybe most people it wouldn't be something. Yay! I'm gonna devote the rest of my life watching this anime. You know, for me, I think it was one of the first ones I watched. And when I was in middle school, I looked forward. If I had a really terrible day, I would say, I'm going home and I'm watching Sailor Moon. Because I would have tough days, and the fact that I could watch something made me feel a little better. So I think for me, it's more of an emotional attachment.
Well, absolutely.
well.
It's a nostalgia.
Yeah.
It's nostalgia
Yeah.
for you. And I mean, I was 3 years old at 1993,
Yeah.
so I didn't watch it at all. It was
Yeah.
not. I was watching Blue's Clues
Yeah,
and Face on Nick Jr. and Little
Yeah.
Bear and
yeah,
you know.
yeah. So
I was watching Yu-Gi-Oh.
That was middle school.
Sailor Moon was a Saturday morning cartoon, but during that time, like, I think I discovered anime more with like Pokemon and Yu-Gi-Oh.
Well, yeah. I mean, I think my gateway anime was the original series of Pokemon, and then everything else just came
Yeah,
after
you don't think
that.
it's anime, but then you grow up and you're like, oh.
you know,
It is.
I never got into Pokemon. I used to catch a few episodes, but I just never could get into it.
I can't recommend like sitting down and watching it. Because
I have some of the
every
old
episode is the
VHSs.
same,
It is the
but
same,
like
but
you know,
it's-
if you grew up watching it, it's kind of cozy.
Yeah,
And-
no,
and you
I
get
understand.
To see cute little monsters every episode, but like
Yeah.
you know,
I liked Pikachu that goes, Pikachu.
every episode's just they're
always
walking
hated
in a
Pikachu.
forest and they find a new Pokemon.
I
and-
felt sorry for
Let's hope it's not a
Jigglypuff.
bug.
I felt sorry for Jigglypuff. Like, I love the scene where it's like.
Well,
it
now
seems like
he's gone.
Jigglypuff, And then
They took Ash out of
Oh,
Pokemon.
yeah.
Finally,
They did?
he's having
He
his last
retired,
season. He's
yeah.
retiring.
Finally,
he
God.
Team Rocket is
finally
leaving.
Won a
Well,
championship
finally.
James.
after 30
Wait.
years.
Wait, that's how long he's been. Wait, how long has this anime been around?
It's been on since the 90s,
Since the
late
90s.
90s.
Late 90s.
So-
And he's
Yeah.
now retiring?
So
Yeah.
initially they kept the character as it was because, you know, it's like newer generations of kids coming into the
Yeah.
show and stuff like that. But like coming from the beginning of the whole thing, it's been like 30 years.
Yeah.
Kid hasn't like grown up, aged, or anything like that. But Misty, you know, is doing her thing at the gym, and then Brock's become like a breeder, and then did some other stuff. I don't know what
Yeah,
he's
they-
his
they-
life is
They
over.
gave him new companions. So each
Yeah,
new
constantly.
region.
Every
you
girl always
explain-
liked him.
Could you explain the decision for Brock's eyes?
I don't know. I think it was just whatever. I think
Oh.
they said it was
He looks like his dad.
Yeah.
Oh,
Yeah.
because okay.
It just looks like his dad. I don't know.
Okay,
It might symbolize like maybe something cultural in Japan. I don't know. I don't know.
As far as I know, it was just a design choice.
Okay.
Yeah.
Alrighty. I was just
So
curious.
that was it. But yeah, he's
I think Brock was
they're
like my
retiring
favorite
the Ash character,
Oh.
and he's
No.
gonna meet his dad.
Team Rocket was where it was at, though.
They're leaving too.
James
Oh.
and Jesse. You know, I know the entire
We're gonna see
Rocket.
Ash's dad.
Real brain.
We're gonna see Ash's dad.
Oh, boy.
Ash's dad
In the
wants
last
nothing to
episode
do
or
with
something
him.
like that, his mom was like, "I'm going to go see your dad. Do you want to come with me?" And he's like, "Yeah." And I'm like, "Oh
Oh boy.
Ash's dad abandoned that boy.
no, he's a master."
I don't believe that. He abandoned that boy.
Who
I
needs
remember
dads?
the
That's
entire,
the Pokemon lesson. Who needs dads?
I remember the entire theme to Team Rocket.
Yeah.
Team Rocket's intro.
They're finally getting on with their lives after being fired and then coming back, and we're all growing up. We're all growing up.
So, final thing as part of the series, would you continue watching?
No. So the problem with season 1 that I had, and it sounds like everybody's complaint online too, and they eventually fix it in season 2 because I think they realized how. I just want to preface this by saying CG animes have come a long way. Mm-hmm. Like Polygon Pictures started with Knights of Sidonia, which is not their best looking work, but have now gone to done a Godzilla movies, and then they've done a new one this current season of anime, and it does look great. You got Trigun Stampede, which looks amazing. Everything's going great. When they did Crystal and they did the transformation sequences, I'm a huge fan of magical girl transformations. They're always supposed to be so much fun. Mm-hmm. You get to watch pew, 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 and there's awesome music. It represents who they are as a character.
Yeah, I loved each of the transformations.
We love Sailor Moon transformations, and if you didn't, then get out of here. Magical girls always have a cool transformation sequence. They tried to redo it by doing it in a CG format, and it came out looking very awkward and very stiff. And that was my big gripe. It looked pretty and everything, it's shiny, it's new, the galaxy, but their poses at the end look so awful. I hated everything about I remember watching the first episode and being like, you know what? I was like, for old time's sake, let's try to go back into Sailor, and that's what killed it.
Oh.
I was like, if I have to watch these transformations, these ugly, janky looking transformations, I don't think I'm going to enjoy this. But I heard they fixed it because they did it in Eternal. But then I heard after season 1, they went back and they just redid the transformations in the format of the actual anime. And they look really dope. And they look vibrant and cool. And you're like, oh, these are so good. But the first season transformations are I was just like, and they have them in the opening too, and they just look so stiff and out of place. It really accentuates the long features of 90s shoujo art design. The very long and skinny features.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And it's just the CGI just makes that accentuated a bit more, and it makes them look very you're just
Yeah.
gross.
Yeah.
That's why I know they improved, but that's why I love the 90s anime.
Yeah.
If
They made them a little fuller.
If I were to watch, I'd just watch the 90s one, I think.
If they ever brought that to Netflix, I'd just watch the original.
It's
I
on
think
Hulu.
or Crystal.
I thought.
Oh, yeah, I think it is on.
And
on Hulu.
I'm sure you can also
I don't
find
have
the
Hulu.
original. I think you could find the original Sailor Moon on Crunchyroll too.
Oh, well,
And
I
they
don't
have
that.
50 billion DVD box sets coming out. They release a DVD box set every 10 years.
Ooh.
They do. They have the original. They have Crystal. Everything.
Can you get them on Amazon?
Sure.
Probably.
Probably.
Birthday
That's
gift.
something that they'll never go out of print
Is that
on.
a hint, Simona?
No.
I like how we're like, yes.
Yeah, I think that was a hint.
Yeah.
Oh, wonderful. Because
Yeah.
that's
There's
something I
Sailor
would.
Moon R season 1 part 1. Yeah, no.
Because that's something I would like to own. I would definitely love to own the 90s anime. So
And don't get it yet.
yeah, well, I'm not getting it now, but yeah,
They're gonna milk it, Simona, for as many years as they can. Sailor Moon is our Marvel at this point. They're sucking the nostalgia out, and we're just like,
No, because
Sailor
they're not
Moon.
making 15 things a year.
That's true, but it's
They're
they
just
have.
releasing things that you can buy.
That's true. It's
merch,
how many
not-
coasters can I get from a Sailor Moon cafe this year?
Oh, my
Are the
sis-
coasters any different?
My sister bought a little articulated Sailor Moon figure, which I really like. I gotta get. gotta
It's like,
get
how many
one.
versions of Sailor Moon can we, like, get out there? Like, all of them.
Shove it in their faces.
Shove it in their face.
You'll
Yeah.
watch it.
I definitely, yeah. If I can find the original, I'll definitely
There's not that
rewatch
much tuxedo mask stuff, to be fair, too, considering how many girls
Such
are.
a
Just like,
I'm sorry, it's such a lame name too. Tuxedo.
well, because
Mask?
I
he's
know, I
supposed to
respect
be,
that.
he's supposed to represent, so you kind of have two things going on in Sailor Moon. You have Magical Girl, and then you have the Phantom Thief look. Phantom Thieves were a big deal. Like, I think Clamp did one, too, the mask. I can't think of the name. But, it was a trope. Is that you would have a thief who would, like, have a calling card. He'd always wear, like, a top hat and a suit, and he'd always
Yeah.
have, like, a mask. And he would come in and, like, take something, and he's like, "Ha-ha, can't get me, coppers."
I assume Lupin the Third was like the riff
Lupin the
on
Third.
that, like,
You have Lupin the
like,
Third.
Here's the thief who's just a mess, and
You can see it even in today. Like, we have Persona 5.
yeah.
Persona 5 dealt with Phantom Thieves, and he wore, like, a black trench coat, the white mask, and everything. His summon has a top hat.
Amanda.
His name is
Amanda.
Arsene Lupin.
Amanda. Amanda. I understand.
Yes! So,
It's still a lame name, okay?
he was a lame character. I'm not gonna lie. The manga only had, like, one or two. But it's still going.
Yeah, no. I was
Oh,
just
no.
looking up Lupin.
No,
I love Lupin.
his I like his Prince Endymion
Lupin.
outfit more than the whole tuxedo thing. No, I can agree, like, that was corny. And in the 90s, they
The
got
way
rid of
they
his...
meet, the 90s relationship between Sailor Moon and Mamoru is awful. They love each other. It's like, he constantly does nothing but bully her. He's like, ha,
All right,
you
wait,
suck.
What happened to that dude in the arcade? They forget about him?
Nothing.
That's what I
so,
said. After
too.
she meets all her cool space friends, nobody matters. Like, I didn't even know she had a brother.
Oh, yeah.
Like, the little brother comes, he's like, you're stupid. And he's like, shut up. But I'm like, do we ever see him again? No. Never. Her mom, like, calls.
God.
Like, I remember when we were doing Eternal. I forgot about the brother. And I'm sure
Oh,
she
yeah.
did, too. But her mom was, like, calling her, like, she's like, I'm staying at Mamoru's place today. And she's just like, okay, cool. Doesn't mention the brother. The brother doesn't even care that she's alive or dead. You know?
Oh my
He
God.
doesn't care. Like, nobody cares. Everybody, it's either some spell they put on everybody and they're like,
Make them forget.
make them forget me. I wasn't here. She's a phantom thief. That means thief of hearts and friendship. She eats them and then spits them out. She's the real villain.
Whatever.
I wonder if she has a baby, if it'll look exactly like... Oh, wait, no, we know. It's
She
Chibi Moon.
does.
That's
Chibi
right.
Moon. Chibiusa.
Yeah.
Don't-
That better be a time skip there.
No.
Well-
It's she comes from an alternate dimension to see her mom who's 14 years old, and she's like, I'm your daughter, and she's like...
Because what happens? Because what happens?
And then it's
is,
accepted, and it's fine.
No, because Usagi and Mamoru get married, and they become the queen and king of Crystal
They neglect
Tokyo.
her. They forgot her birthday one year, and she got upset and became a villain.
It's
That's her story.
That's why-
And everyone had a big gripe because I think we talked about this in Eternal too. Everyone online when they did Eternal and when they did like Chibi Moon's thing is that they thought she was in love with her father
What?
because she has this whole like her goal is that she wants to marry a prince like her father. So she admires her father and she's like, wow, he's so cool and the love that he has for my mom and I want their love. And stuff like that. I had to clarify that one on that podcast too, because everyone
Yeah.
was like Sailor Chibiusa is in love with her dad. Like, what's going on here?
Oh my God.
Because of the way she acts, she like blushes all the time,
but also,
and it feels like she pines for him.
but I also
I
thought
think she
that,
just pines for the idea of him.
Yeah.
But I also thought that it's revealed that she can't really age. Like I thought it was.
There's a lot going on with this character.
Yeah, I thought.
Yeah, this
that-
one.
Yeah, I thought that was one of the reveals. I think she can't really grow taller, or like I forgot. There was.
And then she falls in love with the unicorn boy.
Yeah, Pegasus.
Yeah, he's very
Wow.
handsome.
He's
He's very
cute.
prince-
He's in a human form.
He's
He's
very
not a
cute.
horse. A human form with a little horn.
I mean, she meets him as a horse.
She does. does, but
She falls in love with the horse. Yeah, see, look how cool he is. Got wings. He's a magical pony.
It's okay, Simona.
no.
Look, Sailor Moon is a lot of fun, and unfortunately, at this point in my life, I can't like watch it like seriously. I can't sit down and be like, what anymore. I would not continue it. I think I brought it up in Eternal. I just don't think it has aged. I think if you're someone who didn't grow up with Sailor Moon and kind of understand what's going on with it, or has done like a little bit of like stuff with it, you're not gonna like it.
So that would be me.
Yeah.
So, but you grew up, but you saw like the original, or
No.
It is a fun anime to watch. It is a mind number, which means you don't have to think too hard about it because it'll make it feel like you have to think hard, but you don't have to. As Joe just discovered about Chibiusa over here, he's like, "There's a lot going on with this character." Yes, there's a lot, and then there's not a lot going on.
There are a lot of funny moments.
And then you
through
realize that the
anime.
motivation behind people is kind of like bad.
Yeah.
Some of the villains are not as like well drawn out in Crystal as they are in the original. So if I had to say, if you're gonna watch one, watch the original, because every character is fleshed out because of the fillers.
Yeah.
Some of the fillers aren't necessary. Like there's a bunch of like gag ones, like
I
ice
feel
skating
like
rings,
there
and
needs to be a distinction. I know they call it filler when it's just not in the original manga, but there needs to be a distinction between like filler that's actually fun to watch and filler that is just like, all right,
Yeah,
you're
no.
just taking 3 episodes to do something that would have taken 1.
yeah, and that's
not,
kind of
not
one
how
of the
I
complaints,
remember it
yeah.
being, but it has been.
There's
Obviously,
some goofy like
several
ones
years,
like at an
yeah.
ice rink is one of the ones. It's like, is this necessary? No.
Uh,
Did it do anything for any of the
I
characters?
don't know.
No.
I'm a fan of the goofy like beach episode. You know,
Obligatory
where it's
beach
just like,
episode.
Oh, they're just hanging out. Okay.
there's an episode where it's one of the characters.
The outfits are very dated too.
Oh God, what's Michiru and Haruka? So Haruka, for the longest time, the gag is that they believe Haruka is a boy. So there's a scene when
Very masculine,
Haruka is like
yes.
approaching Usagi, goes, and I forgot what she says, and Usagi thinks, no, it's not Haruka. I'm
She
sorry.
goes, damn.
No, I mean, no, it's not Haruka. I'm sorry. It's one of the Sailor Stars.
Oh, never mind.
Yeah, but
was
I
like,
didn't like their arc, but he starts approaching her, and Usagi thinks he's going to make a move on her, and then he just wants to go to the club, so there's a whole scene where they're dancing in the club. And she's like, so this is what you wanted to do. And she has like, it was just so fun. Anyway, it's a lot funnier if you
Usagi,
watch
very
it.
naive, very stupid.
Yeah, but
Sailor Moon has a lot of heart, and it has a lot of charm, and it is one of the ones I do recommend, like, for, like, people who want to get into anime and to kind of play around with genres. You might not like magical girl animes if you don't like Sailor Moon, because, as I said, like, my number one favorite anime is a magical girl anime, but it was kind of, I hate to say that Sailor Moon was the one that paved the way.
Well, it is.
It's not.
It's not.
It is not.
Wow.
It is a misconception.
oh Jesus,
But it is the one that people will know the most.
Attacked.
It is the one that people will know the most.
and why is that? Because it's better.
No, because it was the only one that made it to the U.S. at the time.
Because it's better.
Debatable.
To be honest, I haven't seen the other one. I'm just giving Amanda a hard
What's
time.
the other one?
My personal favorite is like Madoka Magica is the shortened name of her.
But that's
Yeah,
a
but
different story.
It's a
That's way
different
more of a
thing going on.
deconstruction.
Yes, it's a deconstruct of everything.
I-
But it paid like Sailor Moon was the one that got people in the U.S. into like, oh, we like watching girls like transform, because you had other ones like Precure kind of started coming to the U.S. a little bit, and then you had some other cute like transformation ones where girls were like fighting crime and doing stuff like that. Powerpuff Girls is considered a magical girl anime, which is kind of nuts.
They made an anime for it, right?
Powerpuff Girls Z, yes, where they
Yeah.
had fingers and weapons.
I don't like the idea of them with fingers.
No.
They have fingers, and they have weapons.
What are they doing to my childhood?
But, no, that came out like
Early
way long
2000s.
ago. Yeah.
no.
How way long ago though?
Like
is
early
way
2000,
long
mid
ago.
2000s,
I
early
didn't even
2000s?
know they had an
It
anime.
wasn't very popular. I think it aired mainly in
2006.
Japan.
It was
Yeah,
in Japan. It
yeah,
never made its way to
2006,
the
yeah.
U.S.
Oh, okay.
They did what we did to Sailor Moon, and we wanted to Americanize
No,
that. And
the
they're
one
like,
here is honestly pretty good.
yeah, no. That's just, you think of like girls being powerful with magic powers. You think like they're magical girls.
Thus, the Powerpuff Girls were born. Sorry.
Exactly.
Using their ultra superpowers, Blossom, Bubbles, and Buttercups.
And the genre has really grown, but it's like people will know, like, if you don't like Sailor Moon, you probably don't like these girly looking. No offense to say, like to genderize it, but these girly looking, very bright colored,
But it is
happy
primarily for
friendship.
young girls, you know.
It was.
That's-
It's a shoujo style
Yeah.
for
Yeah,
teen girls and.
Yeah.
I mean,
Yeah.
I like Fruits Basket, and Fruits Basket's isn't that like a shoujo anime kind
It's
of
a different
thing?
kind of shoujo. When I talk about shoujo, I talk about more of the stylized and how
Oh,
the
okay.
animation and like the character designs are too. You have Sailor Moon, which is called like it is a shoujo style, and there's like the eyes are supposed to be a certain way, and the way that like the cell shading is and stuff like that. It's meant to look fluffy and pretty and detailed. It's supposed to look fashionable.
Would you suggest reading them, like, just for somebody like me who is interested in Sailor Moon but not really interested in watching the anime? Would you suggest reading the manga?
I mean, it's faster to always just read it.
Yeah.
Is what I always say. Crystal is literally just an exact replica of it. You might not, if you don't really like the art style, the original art style, I think Crystal tried to stay more true to the art style, but still kind of like modernized it, kind of like what they did with
It
Fruits
is
Basket.
pretty. The original art style,
Yeah.
I find it very
It
pretty.
is very pretty.
Yeah.
It's very classic 90s
Yeah, it's
anime.
very
Well, I
pretty.
mean,
manga.
my thing is, because I don't necessarily want to watch the
Then you just read
anime,
it.
then
Yeah.
reading the manga.
There's 50
Yeah.
billion. Well, I know that we ordered the first volume here, and I know Quanch is ordering like the second one. I think
Yeah.
we already have it.
Yeah,
So we
I
have
re-
it here,
yeah.
and you can find a copy of all the Sailor Moon like manga. It's not a long series.
No.
For the most part, I think it's only like 12 volumes.
I think so, yeah.
And then there's the side story of Sailor V, which only I think was like 2 or 3.
I think the manga would be worth a try. I haven't read all the volumes because, like, watching the anime and then, like, I
Yeah.
kind of. But I think it might be. You might find that better. Like, you might
Yeah.
find it more enjoyable than watching the actual anime.
Sometimes reading is better than watching.
Yeah.
yeah.
Just because you get a feel for the story. And the positives of the anime is that everything flows really nice. Like, battle sequences are better.
Well, yeah.
Colors are brighter. And it's like
Yeah.
you get to see your character come to life.
Right.
Yeah.
And that's kind of like the positive of going from the manga to the anime. But as I said, if you don't like the manga, but you want to give the 90s anime a try, because a lot of those fillers do fill in gaps for characters. Like, let's say you end up really liking Sailor Mercury.
Yeah.
She's a very smart, very like, she's a great character. All the characters are great, but you don't really get to know them. They kind of just show up, and it's like, oh, we're friends. I'm the
And-
smart one, but we don't utilize me in Crystal
Yeah.
legitimately.
Yeah.
You know, that's the kind of downside of Crystal in the manga, is that the characters aren't
Yeah.
fleshed out as much. I think that's due to editorial changes too. As I said, she dealt with a lot of like her editors being like, I think you should do this.
Yeah. And
Yeah.
I'll
Don't
end it
do
on
that.
this note. Like, a key example, if you ever decide to watch the 90s one, like with the Black Moon arc, which is my favorite,
The villains are better
if
too.
you compare the 90s to the Crystal, it's like night and day. Like, there were moments where I actually cried, like, with what happened with the characters. Like, they're flushed out more.
they make you feel more for
Yeah.
them than the original, than the
yeah.
new one. Eternal did a pretty good job,
Yeah.
but not it's tighter.
Yeah.
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 They tightened it. They have a story, they're trying to get it out there. That's
Yeah.
what it is.
But,
So try reading the manga. We do, as I said, we do have it here at the library. We do have, I think, some of the original movies.
Yes, we do.
as well on DVD.
Hearts on Ice. I love that movie. Yeah.
Clearly.
Yeah, so I don't want to like end us if you still have any
No.
further. Okay.
No, if anybody wants to know any other more of my thoughts, go watch the Eternal episode.
Yeah, we did
I
a deeper
deconstructed
dive.
everything.
Yeah, we did a deeper dive in that episode. But yeah, so this was episode 2 of our Would You Watch Anime Edition. Thank you for joining us, and we look forward to our next recording where we will be discussing.
Revolutionary Girl Utena.
Another amazing classic.
All right, so thanks everyone, and have a great day. Bye.
Bye.